is promoted by local governments. And the scaling gap is another tendency. This transfer of PB from the local level to the regional level and the national level, this is one of the new tendencies. And of course, the leading role of cities. Big cities and capitals are involved on this around the world. And this is very important because it can give the example to other small cities that this is an important thing to do. And we can discuss also about dissemination for purposes. And during the last 30 years, and with this data that was possible to collect, in first place, I think we don't have any doubt, and we can conclude that there has been a huge worldwide expansion of PB during this period, exceeding our best expectations. However, I think it's important to clarify that this is an unbalanced dissemination, both in territories and purposes. Objectives. According to the data, the majority of PB cases in the world, around 85%, are based in 31 countries with imperfect democracies. Let me repeat. 85% of total PBs in the world are located in 31 countries, and remember that we have 71 countries in this sentence, so 85% are concentrated in 31 countries with imperfect democracies, classified like imperfect democracies. The remaining PB are distributed as follows. 5% of PBs in the world are located in regimes, in countries with authoritarian regimes. 4 to 5% are located in countries with full democracies or perfect democracies. And we have 19 countries in the world classified with full democracies. And 4 to 5% of PB in the world are concentrated in countries with hybrid regimes. And the big surprise for us in this work is that there are more PBs, more participatory budgeting cases in territories of authoritarian regimes than in full democracies. We can discuss this later, why. We don't have any conclusions about that. We have some ideas we can share with you, but this is true. We can find more PBs in countries with authoritarian regimes and hybrid regimes than in full democracies. And we can compare the history of PB in the world with a car on the road. Okay? For example, in the beginning, I don't know if you can see this image there at the end of the room, but for example, in the beginning, it was tried that PB was an instrument to combat many problems of our societies. For example, combating social inequality, combating corruption, changing the logic of power, transform the public administration, among the others. That is why people try to put everything inside PB, I mean inside the car. Okay? All the expectations was put there. But with this, PB has become a very ambitious, complex, and difficult process to expand into other territories, into other countries, at least with the same intensity and objectives. So PB, that is the car, was too heavy to be driven successfully. And that's why, during this history, in the middle of this journey, we can identify the quick PB, this very fast PB, implemented at great speed, but without transforming ambitions. Without any ambitions to transform society, without any ambitions to transform politics, without any ambitions to transform the logic of power. And for example, the laws, I think laws are responsible, national laws are responsible for this very fast implementation of PBs without any ambitions of transforming the reality. And now, what we have now in 2020? We have more than 11,000 PBs in the world, and this huge number of PBs constitute, in my opinion, a very diverse fleet. Big and heavy cars with all the expectations inside, but at the same time small cars without nothing inside. And the diversity is very large, you can imagine. The adaptation of PB, so to such different contexts and realities, serving even conflicting proposals, is one of the hallmarks of the broad dissemination of these PB processes of the world during the last 3 decades. And PB has changed its identity according to the context of incorporation. It is an innovation that has lived in the margins and moved to the center, and in this movement lost ambitions, capacity to transform the world. But this is not a problem, in my opinion. Probably it was the only way to disseminate PB over the world, because it was not possible to maintain all the expectations on this. This doesn't mean a definite view of the potential of this instrument. Well, PB doesn't change everything in the world, but where it is implemented, something will be changed. Something will move differently. So, no other instrument in the world, in our history, has this capacity to mold itself to such different contexts, some of which represents the negation of the ideals of PB. So these are the main results of the Atlas, of this first edition of the Atlas. And this year, 2020, we want to update the data. In a few days, I will contact all the authors because we want to produce the second edition of the Atlas this year. Be prepared. So we want to have a second edition of the book, but at the same time we want to produce a web page. I mean, to have the online atlas available for everybody, more interactive, more easy to consult and to update the data. So all of you are invited to cooperate with us in the atlas, but also you are also invited to go to Portugal in October for the public presentation of the atlas and in the printing edition, but also the online version. Thank you very much for your attention.